we are almost at the end. So let's talk about WandaVision episode 8. WandaVision episode 8, I don't have a ton to say about this episode. I felt like it was eventful, but at the same time, it was uneventful because we didn't really move forward in the story that we know now. It just kind of was like all the events that led up to the story. And so I'm going to try to make this review as brief as possible, but still be able to touch upon the points that I liked about this episode, or even the things that I didn't like about this episode. I felt like this episode was better than last week's episode. I will, preface with saying that. And this episode to me felt like it truly gave us an understanding of how this world came to be and how Wanda was able to manage to create this type of world for herself and Vision. So there's some interesting reveals in this episode that I felt was really earned and really cool, but then again, there's also some things that I didn't like, and I'll touch upon that after I go over what happens in this episode. So as always, we like to have spoilers here on these WandaVision reviews, and it's going to be no different with this one. So if you have not seen the episode, make sure that you click off right now and go watch the episode and then come back. This episode sees where we left off in episode 7 as Wanda discovers who Agnes really is, as she is revealed to be Agatha Harkness. We get a little bit of her past, how she became a witch, and realistically how she became a powerful witch, I should say, by stealing this dark magic book, which basically gave her, it feels like almost endless power, and she is a very strong antagonist for Wanda. She wants to discover and explore how Wanda was able to create everything. How was she able to use magic this powerfully? So she ends up taking Wanda through her past. We get to learn, and some things are revealed unto us about Wanda's past, including her love for sitcoms, and especially the older sitcoms, because it was the time that she was able to spend with her family. Her parents, her brother Pietro, and her were all watching the Dick Van Dyke Show, the Walnut episode, and they had a bomb go off, and her parents were killed, and that was kind of the thing that harbored on why she loves sitcoms, why she created this type of sitcom world for her and Vision to live in. And then other things get revealed, like the fact that, she was in fact experimented with using also a Infinity Stone. And the Infinity Stone basically gave her this magic that is so unfathomable, and she's able to be the strongest Avenger. And really it's because the magic she already had, or she was already using, just kind of got infused with the Infinity Stone in some type of way, and so it just made her more powerful. It's revealed that, Hayward set her up. That scumbag Hayward set her all up in S.W.O.R.D., and she went to go bury Vision, not retrieve him to bring him back to life, and she just says goodbye to Vision. As Vision is being torn apart, as Hayward says it's because he's a dangerous weapon and they don't want anybody to get their hands on him. And she couldn't take him because, he's worth $3 billion. That gets revealed to us. We also get a little bit of insight into Vision and Wanda's first interactions together at the Avengers complex, and the fact that she was watching a sitcom, kind of grieving about the loss of her brother Pietro, and Vision says this amazing line that I think everyone's been talking about over the past couple of days, which is, grieving is just love persevering. That's such an incredible line, and it's very telling to what Wanda has had to go through. She lost her parents, she lost Pietro, and then she also loses Vision. She had nothing left, and so she goes to Westview, this town that was kind of very desolate. It reminded me of my hometown, because I'm from a small town in Pennsylvania, and this town is really, really small, and we don't really have a lot there. She goes there and accidentally, out of her grief and out of her frustration, creates the Hex, and also creates this sitcom world. And not only that, she creates this version of Vision that we see inside the Hex, hence why when he tried leaving the Hex, he was dying. So a lot of interesting things happen, and Agatha Harkness realizes that she has chaos magic. She uses chaos magic, and she is the Scarlet Witch. For the first time, she's referenced as a Scarlet Witch, which was really cool. She has her kids hostage, and looks like she is going to try to take out Wanda because Wanda is too dangerous with her magic. This episode was a lot of flashbacks. I did like that. I wish that this episode took place like 1 or 2 episodes previously. Like, this should have been like episode 6, episode 7, and then episode 8 and 9 could have been more of the final third act type of stuff. Because I really feel like we're only on the precipice of the third act here. And it's very frustrating because there's so much left to do and it feels like there's so little time to actually do it. And so to me, that was the frustrating thing about this episode. I did like a lot of the reveals that we got. I love the touching moment between Wanda and Vision. We get to see how their love kind of is able to grow and the way that they were able to develop this relationship with one another. And then I also loved all the things that we got with her past, including, you know, seeing kind of this silhouette of herself as the Scarlet Witch. And also the fact that they officially dubbed her the Scarlet Witch. Like, that's pretty awesome. But like, I wish that this episode had taken place beforehand, because I feel like now it's too little too late, in my opinion, because we're not going to get a lot of answers next week. I really feel like what we're going to get is we're going to get a lot of action, a lot of heavy action. And I think a lot of these answers I'm starting to think are really only going to come when we go and watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And that's very unfortunate because, you know, we're going to have these loose threads going on for over a year and we won't have any reconciliation on these characters or what's happening in this town. So that to me is kind of frustrating. I did like the post-credit scene quite a bit, but it also didn't really tell us much. We know that Hayward wanted to set up Wanda. He wants to take out Wanda, probably because he's intimidated by her power and because she's very strong. A lot of people believe that he's Ultron. I don't really buy into that theory, but we see that he brings the Vision back online as some type of weapon. A lot of people are dubbing him as White Vision or Colorless Vision or something like that. That's where we are. I'm very curious to see what happened with Monica Rambeau. They never touched on it. They never really touch on Pietro, except for they dub him like fake Pietro. But I don't believe that they put him into this universe just to have it be some type of trick on Wanda. That just doesn't make sense to me. Kevin Feige is too smart for that. So I do believe that he is still the Pietro that we saw in the X-Men movies. There's just something going on with him, obviously, because he was, you know, manipulated by Agnes. I don't think we're going to get a reveal on a lot of the characters that I speculated on in my last video, because I just don't think there's enough time. I mean, maybe they could introduce one of these characters in a post-credit scene or something. I don't know, but it just doesn't feel like we're going to get a lot of answers. And unfortunately, that's just why the pacing of the show just feels wonky and weird. And that's why, even though I love this show and I love what it's doing, I feel like the show took way too much time setting up a lot of stuff. And ultimately, those things that the show set up, we're not going to get answers to until much later on. So it's a little unfortunate, it's a little frustrating, but honestly, I did like this episode a lot more than last week's episode, and I felt like Wanda was able to give us a little bit more insight into what actually happened and how she was able to create the hex. And man, Elizabeth Olsen is incredible. She's like a phenomenal actress. She does such a good job in this episode. And also, I love Catherine Hahn as Agatha Harkness, man. She's like the perfect casting as this character. Anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on WandaVision Episode 8. What did you guys think? Let me know down below in the comment section of this video. Make sure you guys drop a like if you enjoyed it. Also, consider subscribing to the channel for more content just like this. And as always, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.